Hello, everyone. Welcome to Saturday Morning Lounge. My name's Anne, and today we are sponsored by Flashback Antique and Crafts, located inside the Mall of Monroe, as well as BrainJerk Entertainment Company. So we're going to dive in today with Rachel Attenberg and her new company coming up, Sunny Jane Co. Do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Hi, I'm Rachel Altenberg, the owner of Sunny Jane Co., which is a local handmade kid shop here in Monroe, which we're also expanding here in August to a storefront location here on South Monroe Street.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit behind Sunny Jane Co. Like, give us a little story. Have you always been interested in kids fashion and
So,
attire?
not kids fashion, but I have always loved creating and making items. I started probably about 10 years ago with a little business where I made like lip balms and I tried to make bath bombs. It was horrible. I did not make it very far with that, but I always just liked creating. And so it wasn't until my youngest was born, she's 2.5, almost 3 now, where she started wearing all these cute little bows. And they were not as in big a fashion with my other two girls. They're 10 now. So it wasn't ever something I was interested in until my friend started bringing me all these bows. And she's like, here, just try these on her. And I thought they were the cutest things. I actually had her like rep for some local companies, which is where you send like pictures in for a discount. And over time, I was like, wow, I really like these. Like, maybe this is something that I can make. And so I decided to start trying my hand at those and scrunchies. And that was back in 2020. And then I slowly just fell in love with all the options because you can go and you can just buy graphics, you can have customs printed, there's so many fabric
Wow.
companies that have ready to ship, and I just started making everything that I could, and then I slowly expanded into clothing. And so now I probably make about 20 different patterns, all sorts of hair accessories and tumblers and cups and anything that I can get my hands on that I can just make it my own, like start from scratch. It is so fun.
That's so cool. So are you just limited to mostly like kids and teens, or are you
Nope.
kind of versatile?
I actually make up to women's 5X.
Oh, wow.
And I can make some men's clothing. I generally do printed t-shirts for men. I have some patterns. It's just not something that anybody has ordered yet, but I'm open to basically trying to make
Anything.
anything that anybody asks me to make.
That's so cool. So when it comes to that type of stuff, have you always sewn or is it just
I did. I used to sew back in school. And then I've hand sewed for a long time. My Nana also used to show me how to sew different items. So she gave me her 1980s sewing
Oh,
machine.
that's awesome.
It has a cute backstory. Apparently, my grandpa had like given it to her as like a present, and she gifted it back to me, which is what I started with. I
Love
still
that.
have it. I did have to upgrade because of the clothing. The
Yeah.
1980s is very nice, but it wasn't up to date with what I needed to do. But it will still be like in my store, and I still do use it occasionally.
Oh, that's cute. That's awesome. So, what made you want to get a storefront versus just online selling?
So I attend a lot of the local markets, the vintage market. I did the downtown business network recently. There's also another one that is out in like Maumee and like Jackson area. So I've only attended the Maumee event so far, but every time you set one of those up, you're setting up a mini store. And I've always like, what if I just had some place where somebody could go? And then I had a couple of friends approach me about possibly opening a storefront in a couple of years. Then I thought to myself, why not do it now? There's downtown's been just slowly expanding and adding new businesses, and it's all been really great. And the one thing that I have 6 children,
Mhm.
is that I really like that my kids can go into stores and buy stuff. And I just want a store where a kid can walk in and they can come in with 50 cents or, $20 or whatever and just find something like a little trinket, bring home.
Yeah.
So it's not just going to actually be my handmade stuff in the store. There's vendor items and then some other like smaller items, like poppets and that.
Oh, that's cool. That's
Yes.
awesome. So when it comes to business aspect, how do you feel that you and Sunny J& Co. kind of go the extra mile?
So with that, I love that I'm able to offer personalization to customers. So it's not just something that you can walk into any store and find. I have people reach out to me all the time. I am looking for, this style item, or they say, "Hey, I saw this picture. I can't, find the item anywhere. Can you make something like this?" So I really look at my graphics. Sometimes I have custom, so I work with a graphic designer to have like specified custom graphics made
Oh, that's
for the
cool.
customer, and I make it into whatever they'd like, whether it be a cup, a blanket, clothing, even like little tiny hair accessories like the clips.
Oh, that's cute.
And so I just feel like that's not really something you can get everywhere.
Yeah,
Um,
so you want to focus on the personalization and that. That's cool.
yeah.
So with that, does that come with a higher price tag than what you would say in like a box store?
Yes. So unfortunately, I'm not a mass producer. I generally work by myself. I have a couple of friends that know how to, help me with my heat press, my cup press, some of the sewing aspects, but really it is just like me sewing from start to finish. So there's, my time along with, the custom graphics. Those are all kind of added in to the price. And then if somebody wants something really specific, we can normally add that for additional prices.
Oh, that's awesome. So what would you say is the average of your price scale for a custom order? Say a custom t-shirt.
Custom t-shirts, they're generally around $22 for certain sizes. And then there is a couple of extra for like sizes like 2X to 5X. That is something that eventually I hope to kind of eradicate and build into all of the pricing. But right now, with starting small, it is something that I do pass on to the customer in the meantime. Once again, hoping to get away from that soon, though.
Yes. So what would you say would probably be the biggest struggle for a small business to get kicked off of the ground?
There is a lot involved with it. I did take business college courses for quite a few years, and I guess there's a difference between seeing what you might need in a book and doing the online classes versus actually having to do it. With fabric, there's different compliancy regulations of what you can use. There's registration,
Oh,
your
wow.
licenses, business insurance, the cost of, especially for the markets, there's the cost of the markets, and then like the pop-up tents and all the displays. So just my original thought was, "Oh, I'll just start a business. It's super easy." And then eventually you realize there's a lot more into this than just starting, picking a name and choosing.
Exactly.
I mean, even the name itself, you have to make sure that there's not anybody else with that name, if there's any trademarks or copyrights that you might affect, because you don't want to start modeling a whole business and then have to
Rechange it and rebrand
yes,
it all in.
all in one.
That's
Yes.
hilarious. So that being said, what would you say is the biggest misconception with opening an actual physical storefront that you didn't expect?
With a storefront, well, I haven't technically dived all the way into it yet. Right now it's being renovated, so have I don't have the actual being in there. I obviously looked when I opened it. Um, Location, I guess, would probably one of them. You have to find a location that's suitable for your
What you're trying
business,
to achieve?
what you're trying to achieve. And so I've looked at other places around town, but downtown it's kind of perfect because the location that Sunny Jane will be in, it's near the Riverwalk, the park, the schools. There's also the events that happen downtown. So I feel like it's kind of a great area for a kids store because there's so many kids that are around. And then it's centralized in Monroe for people that can come down.
Mhm. That makes a lot of sense. Definitely. So the misconception would be that it's not as easy, kind of narrowing everything down.
Yes. There's just so much involved, besides the location too.
Mhm.
So it's not just pick a storefront and start. There's everything that you have to licensing the store, what does the city require? Um, all of the any renovations that have to be done, bringing in just all of your all of your stuff and setting up. It's definitely going to be an interesting time.
Yeah, definitely. Me and you were talking a little bit earlier about like just the complications of even getting your name registered or your LLC because you said that you switched over to an LLC. If you want to tell the viewers pretty much what that story was about, like you kind of shared with me a little bit.
So when I started, once
Mhm.
again, I thought, hey, I pick a name, I go ahead, I make sure that it's not copyrighted or registered. Made sure also another thing is in a Google search, you want to be one of the first Google searches. And if you have a similar name or you have other companies that have the same names, you might get buried under those searches. So I did all of that, thought it was all super nice, started getting my branding going, had custom logos made, and then I decided to grab an LLC. With for that, it's a limited liability company.
Yep.
For any of the viewers who aren't aware of that. It's not always the way to go, but I thought that it would be the best for me to
It
go.
provides you the protection that you need legally wise.
Yes.
Yes.
And so I actually went to a Google search and found a place in Nevada that helped create LLCs. And when they did that, they did everything as correctly as they should, but I wasn't aware that they had actually filed themselves as like the registered agent for my business, meaning that I was technically for the first year of ownership, not the complete owner of it.
Oh wow.
So it wasn't until I went to go renew it that I went locally to the Monroe income tax and found out that I was not the traditional owner of my own business, which luckily they were able to help me change in relatively easily.
Oh, that's good.
So I definitely have to say research the company if you ever think about starting a business. They might not always have your best interest in mind.
Exactly. So, is there any resources that you would recommend that you have used personally to any of the viewers wanting to start a business or?
So there are so many different resources. A lot of it is actually on Facebook. So I had started looking up groups for like sewing patterns. Of course, it can be tailored to whatever somebody is looking for, but there is so many people out there willing to share the information and really help others out with like patterns. There's a compliancy group for fabric specifically, and what type of testing you have to have done or what type of fabrics you can use. There's an accounting one. So I did find a lot of very helpful information from these groups who have like expertises that work in those areas helping out. Um, I would have liked to have done it a little bit more locally. However, at that time, that was just
That was kind of the go-to.
yes.
So, when it comes, since you are open a physical storefront, what would you say is the best way for marketing that you've experienced for open
So
a physical store?
marketing is something I actually haven't gotten down too greatly yet. A lot of it I do share on like my Facebook. So I have a business page. I share it on my page. I have quite a lot of friends who help me share and stuff like that. But as far as actual marketing goes, the algorithms and everything on Facebook, they change so often. So it really is like a struggle and a fight. Which is one of the reasons I like doing the in-person events. So we try to have business cards, flyers at our most upcoming event, which will actually be in Trenton for this before the store opening. We're hoping to pass out like 10% off coupons that
Oh,
people
that's
can bring to
cool.
the store location. But it's still still something that I'm trying to figure out because it feels like especially with Facebook or social media, once you figure out how to get around it, all of a sudden everything changes and your
Changes.
posts aren't being seen.
Right? It's like low-key shadow banned.
Yes.
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 Yes. So, typically, when it comes to businesses, everyone has like a routine that they like to get into. Do you have a routine set up for your business that you work with? I know being a mom, I mean, I couldn't imagine having 6. I only have 3. So, is there a routine that you guys have that you spend certain days focusing on certain things?
No.
No.
No, we, in our household, especially with 6 children, and like I said, we have dogs, we have chickens, it's just kind of it's always chaotic at our household. So, more so, it's really I'm very lucky to have my husband who's super supportive, and so it's kinda like a trade-off, like, "Hey, you worked for a couple hours, play your game, and after you're done with a couple rounds of your game, here I'll go ahead and you take over, and I'll
Oh, that's
and I'll
awesome.
start working on my stuff." A lot of it is done also like later at night after everybody is asleep, which is also going to hopefully be a great aspect of
Mhm.
having the storefront, is that some of my kids, whoever wants to, will get to come with me, and I'll just get to work like with them there.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah, right now
Mhm.
it's not possible. My husband works from home remotely, and so he's in a lot of meetings. So I can't just go into the office because then, somebody's like, hey, somebody's bothering me right now,
Yeah.
or they let the dog out, or, the 2-year-old's, banging on the door, and it's like, oh no, I can't do this.
Small business struggles right there, that's for
Yeah.
sure. So, the reason you started your business, did it have anything to do with, like, the COVID crisis or anything? Since
No,
because you started
I
right around that
I
time
actually did.
too.
I started making stuff in March of 2020, and then I didn't fully open the business until June of 2020. And so then I kind of operated it for a little bit until I figured out everything else. But no, it had absolutely nothing to do with COVID. It was just more so like, hey, I found this thing I think I can do, and I really enjoy doing it. And that's just how I've kept going, like, "Oh, I can make a bow, but now I can make a shirt, or I can make this," and I had no intentions of it originally getting to this point, but I am grateful that it did.
That is so awesome. So, what would you say your typical Saturday morning looks like then? There's
There
no typical?
no, there's nothing there's no schedule, or we try, but there's no typical Saturday morning with us. We're a blended family, so, 2 of my kids, they're my stepsons, but we have them, with us all the time, and then I have 2 daughters, another son, and my youngest daughter. So they might be at other parents, they might be at friends, family. Some weekends, like a couple weekends ago, we have 4 or 5 extra kids staying at our house. So
Nice.
it's just just however the morning goes really depends on who's there and how the night before was. Did we stay up really late recently? We got like a movie projector outside, and everybody stayed up till like midnight watching
Oh, that's
movies.
cool.
And so maybe that day everybody sleeps in, or somebody's up at 8 a.m. wanting biscuits and gravy or pancakes. So it's just really all over the place.
That's so fun. Like, that it really is. I feel that with the craziness of being, parents and blended families, because that's pretty much how our family system works. But when it comes to your turnover rate for your custom ones, does the family situation affect it at all?
Sometimes. Recently we had a wedding, then we had like a 5-day like music festival. The kids all had sports, and it was just go, 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 no stop. We're prepping for this, prepping for that. And so that affected it. But with now that I'm not working anywhere else, it's going to be quicker. A lot of my items that I've been having ordered are getting done within like a day to a week. Custom can sometimes be a little bit different though, because sometimes that depends on my suppliers.
Mhm.
If most of them have a 5-day business turnaround time. And so once I get the fabric in and I can start working on it, but I have had some delays, lost packages, all sorts of different things that luckily my customers are extremely understanding.
That's
It's
good.
really about like communicating.
Communication.
Yes.
That's for sure. That's with any business, I think, for sure. Uh, so when it comes to the pop-ups and stuff, having a physical store, are you still gonna be doing pop-ups?
Yes. Yep, because they bring in a lot of different demographics. So one, not all of them are in Monroe. So through the vintage market, we sometimes go to Trenton, Ann Arbor, with the Finders Keepers market, Maumee, Chelsea, Iona, like all different places all over Monroe, or not Monroe, Michigan.
Mhm.
And so with that, because of how big they are, they generally reach a lot of different people that aren't just local to Monroe. And so it's always good to be able to attend one of those events and get your name out there, even if I feel like even if you don't make a lot of sales, in that specific day, passing out your business card, talking to people, they follow you on Facebook, like your stuff. It really does help. And so, my plan is that have the store opening, but still attend all the same events, if not even more, next year.
Oh, that's good. So, talking about goals, what is your biggest goal you would say is for Sunny Jane Co?
That it's someplace that that kids can actually come to. My kids, I wish that we used to go to Toys R Us.
Mhm.
So we used to take all the birthday money or all the Christmas money, and we used to go up to Toys R Us, and they loved it because there was always something there for them. And so part of the store remodeling or opening this store and kind of remodeling Sunny Jane a little bit is not just offering the custom clothing and items, but also to bring in, stuff that kids can come and enjoy and find locally, and instead of, right now you have to travel.
Mhm.
And so my whole idea really around the store opening is to like make it like a mom and pop mini, like Toys R Us kind
Oh,
of,
that's cute.
somewhere you can go and enjoy. And then we're hoping to bring in other things like little events for the kids to come in and do. Hoping to work with some other local businesses to complete that also.
Oh, that's awesome. So currently, what would you say your network would be for like you mentioned small businesses. So you've mentioned the vintage market and the other
Um,
ones.
the vintage market, the Finders Keepers, I absolutely love going to their events. I also have been talking with the Kennedy
Mhm.
Health and Wellness. They are amazing.
Yes.
Monroe Beer Cooler. I absolutely love talking to both of the owners. I see them all the time, and they're like, "When are you getting? How close is it?" And so there's just a lot of little different businesses around downtown that are very supportive, and that's also one of the reasons why I enjoy this community is I've talked to so many business owners, especially once I knew I was going to be working down here. I've just kind of been going into the stores, showing support, talking to everybody, and they're all more than willing to, you know, help work with each other
Mhm.
to make downtown great. So it's
That's
not just
awesome.
like I'm a store and I'm focused on myself. It's really about growing the community, which we saw at the most recent Downtown Business Network,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is
That's
also
huge.
I've been working with them. Like I told you before we started the interview, they actually helped me find the location that I'm going to be opening at. So that was amazing.
That's so cool. So, when it comes to all of that being said, you have a tentative opening date then?
So the tentative opening date is August 13th. It is something I've been wanting to create an event around, but right now we're waiting for renovations to be done. We have to paint. We have to get the store set up. I didn't want to compete with the fair, which is why it's not the first week of August,
Understandable.
but August 13th really is the date that like we have set, on our sites right now. It's in my calendar. It's on our dry erase board. There's a store countdown.
Nice.
The kids are like, "What day is August 13th from today?"
Nice. You're like, "It's a Saturday.
Yeah.
We're getting there."
It's a Saturday, and I think last time we checked, it was 35 days away.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's awesome. You're definitely counting down then.
Yes, we are.
That is so cool. Alright, so where can people find you then?
So right now I have a website, which is sunnyjaneco.com. Then I also have Instagram, a Facebook regular page. So we have a business page, and then we have a VIP. The reasoning for the VIP is a little bit so like people can share their photos and feel more
Mhm.
comfortable. Then we also have a TikTok, which
Oh, cute.
TikToks Still a little bit, still learning it.
Getting
Still
there.
still learning how to work all the little fancy, editing and everything on there, but I feel like it's great for, making small videos. Apparently, there's some other things, like, on Instagram and Facebook you can do. Haven't even ventured into that,
Oh yeah,
but
no, Reels is
uh
huge right now.
But, yeah, so we do
Definitely.
have actually quite a lot of different ways that you can connect with us and the business. There's also, my email, it's connected right to my phone. I'm always answering it, so
Awesome. That is so good. This actually ended up being kind of a short interview. Is there anything else you want the people to know about Sunny Jane Co. or what you to expect from you coming up?
Well, there's a couple of things I didn't really want to answer it earlier because
Mhm.
it was kind of like similar, but with the events
Mhm.
that I was hoping to bring into the store, we're actually hoping to look at having, like, bringing in kids at a time. One of the things I'm hoping to bring back to Monroe is, I don't know if you remember this, but there used to be like a daddy daughter special hair events where it was like somebody would teach, and I'm so sad that that doesn't exist anymore.
That is sad. I
So
totally forgot about
that
those.
that's like one thing that's stuck in my mind. So that's something that I'm hoping to bring in. Maybe some, princess and superhero reading
Mhm.
events, and then offer discounts on, custom items that would be like those superhero types. But really, I just want to bring, like I said, bring something for the kids and for them to go to and have fun. And I'm more than open to any suggestions for little events if anybody else wants to email or message me on Facebook, because I do want to be successful, but I also want to help grow downtown.
Downtown.
Yes.
That's awesome. So, did you grow up in Monroe then?
Partially. I was actually in Ida, for a while, and then after Ida, I went and moved down to Florida for about 6 years. But I've been in Monroe since 2010. I've worked in Monroe, lived in Monroe. My kids were all born here. So it's definitely somewhere that we have a strong attachment to. Same thing with my husband. He's been here for most of his life, if not here, then right down in Dundee. And so we really wanted to stick to this, this area.
Understandable, understandable. That's awesome. Okay, I think that concludes for today. Thank you for joining Saturday Morning Lounge. It's a little bit shorter today, but join us not next Monday, but the Monday after. We're going to be interviewing Dennis, who opened Wonder World Comics in the Mall of Monroe. Thank you.